Hello and welcome to Knowledge by Nature. In today's video, we're going to be looking at BJU Press English 6 Writing and Grammar. And this is the second edition, which is probably going to make a difference if you're planning to use the online program. Now, as I was looking at using different English and writing this year, I came across English 6 multiple times on Instagram, and people were just really pleased with this. And so I reached out to BJU Press and asked if they would be interested in working with me, and they were. So I'm super excited to say that they did offer this to me at no cost for my honest review, and I can tell you we are 3 chapters in, and I honestly am absolutely loving this. So I want to give you a flip through, so let's dive in and take a look. If this is your first time here, I'm a homeschool mom to a 6th grader. We love all things books, homeschool, and sharing our journey with you. And if that is something you are interested in, I would love if you consider hitting that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. All right, so as we were looking for English and grammar this year, I really just kept seeing this pop up everywhere, and lots of people were raving about the writing in it, and that is honestly something that I feel we need a little bit more resources in, and so this is something that's really interesting. So let's dive in and take a look. This is the 2nd edition. Now we are using the online teaching program, which means I don't have the teacher's guide. I have some teacher's notes and some scheduling in here, which I will show you in a moment. But overall, what we do is we watch the program together usually, and then she does the work independently. Now this can be completely done independently, but it's something that as we're just getting introduced to the program, we're new to BJU, I want to kind of be there, watch it with her, make sure that we're doing everything the way that we're supposed to do. Now what's really interesting about this program is that they are going to rotate writing and grammar with every other chapter. So for chapter 1, we're looking at sentences, types of sentences, subjects, predicates. We have a review. Chapter 2 is going to be our writing. And so we are doing writing a personal narrative. This was such a fun chapter. She loved this. She did so well. I've never seen her be quite as enthusiastic with writing as she was with this chapter, which gives me a lot of hope for this program. Let me just say that. Then we're going to move on, and again, we're rotating every single time. Chapter 3 is nouns, so this is our grammar section. Chapter 4, writing a newspaper. This is our writing section. Grammar, verbs, writing, instruction. Then we have our grammar of study and reference skills, writing a research paper, pronouns, writing historical fiction, more about verbs, writing a compare-contrast essay. Chapter 13 is adjectives, adverbs, and prepositions, writing a limerick and free verse. And then chapter 15 is sentences, phrases, and clauses. Chapter 16 is writing a cover letter. Now this is scheduled to be a 180-day program, which I don't think I've ever had a program before that required 180 days of instruction, which really leaves zero wiggle room. Absolutely. And for us, we have to do 175 days. So that is something that I'm actually still trying to figure out, is the scheduling. And I don't know that every single review and every single quiz might be necessary. So I would caution you to be sure and check that out, and just know that you probably don't have to do every single thing if this 180 days is a little bit intimidating. So to talk about that, let's go ahead and jump over here into my scheduling binder. So I have 3 programs with BJU, and I have them all in here so that I can just easily find what I need. So this tab right here is my English 6. Sorry, I've got a lot in front of it. That's my math and literature. If you haven't seen those, be sure and look down below or check out my other videos. But we have our English 6. This is the 2nd edition. This 2nd edition does have more updated videos, as far as they look a little bit more contemporary and updated compared to some that you might have seen in the past. So just make sure that if you're looking for this specific text, that you would be getting the same videos. So we have the online program, which means that you can use this whenever you need. It's not like a live course. It's pre-recorded and you sit and you watch the video and it tells you what all you will be watching that day. So for this program, we're going to need the student work text and the student handouts, which I have. You can get the DVDs or they're online. And then we are using the Hub Access, which has all of our days broken out, lets us know exactly what to do. But what I have found extremely helpful, and I was super surprised that I like this so much, is this sheet right here. And so this breaks down the days, the videos, the content that we're going to be doing, any material that's needed, the text, the assignments, and anything as a facilitator that I am going to need. I love that it tells me how long each video is. So as I'm planning the week or the day, I can see, okay, well, this is going to take about 9 minutes for us to do. Then she's going to have this work text. She's going to finish that, complete it, and then I just need to check it. It shows me my whole day for this program right here, and I find it extremely helpful. So here, day 15, you can see we have our personal narrative. It's a 7-minute video. She's got some work text. She's going to need to choose a topic for her personal narrative and complete that planning on page 30. And then I'm going to need to check that that is happening. So this is just extremely helpful for knowing what your week is going to look like. In addition to, there are a few student handouts here on towards the back, but so it's not something that you're going to need every day. Here you can see the chapter review, which is also available on the computer. Chapter review, the second section. We have our writing a narrative, where it was the rubric that they would be looking through. Sometimes I make a copy, and then that way she just has it and she can do whatever with it. But these are not something that you need every single day, so you don't have to worry about pulling it out and needing it. Oh no, see, I'm gonna have to get a fatter binder, I think. I've got too much. Well, we'll fix that after the video, but that's what's in there. Oh, geez. Definitely going to need to upgrade that binder. All right, let's get back to our English 6 here. So let's look. All right, so we are looking at the grammar portion right here. And so you will have a video that goes along with this lesson. There's a female that teaches the grammar portion, and there is a male that teaches the writing portion, which is really cool that it splits it up like that. So we definitely do have like one that we prefer over the other. So it's really nice that it breaks it up. So if you don't just super duper love an instructor, you don't have it the whole entire time. So we have our action verbs and our linking verbs. You have this section right here that you can kind of cover, and the teacher covers it on the video. So she'll go through it. She probably won't give these exact examples, but she will work through all of these things, which is kind of nice because the videos are having different examples than what the paper is. And then that way you have even more examples of this topic. She will usually go through this guided practice with them. So she will walk through it, and they will actually do these together, or at least the first few, and then maybe they'll do those. And then occasionally they will go through a few of the independent practices together, but most of the time they'll just say, here is your assignment, this is what you are to do, and then they will complete this independently and the video is over. Here we come to another one, so you can see we have another short section of guided practice where they will then come over and do some work independently. Now, I don't know that it's always necessary to do front and back because it's kind of a copy. Let's see if I can find one that has more practice. None of these are just a lot of practice actually on this guided practice. The ones in the previous chapters have had a little bit more than this for the guided practice, but not always. But this is pretty average what we have on this independent practice. And you can see it's just not much at all even then. But if I have her do the front, sometimes I'll just have her do every other on the back or something like that. You can decide what works best for your student. Here, as we finish out the chapter, we have our chapter review. And then we have a cumulative review that comes up next. So it's really nice, lots of reviews. Now we do not do every single review and we do not do every single quiz because it is a lot. So I would say just kind of check that out, see exactly what you feel your student needs to do. If they get to a subject where they do need the extra practice, then you have it for sure. You have lots of reviews. Now after that, we are coming to chapter 6, which is a writing lesson. And this is a literature link. You can see we have a little writing section over here. And then we are talking about precise words and details. And this is where the male teacher will come on and he will teach, walk them through everything. I absolutely love the way that they are breaking this down. It is super easy. It is not overwhelming. And when I say super easy, it's not that it's easy. It's just not overwhelming. They're not just saying, here, go write this. They're taking you through the steps slowly. And if you have a writer that is just a little bit more hesitant to write, or it is not their favorite thing, this could be what you're looking for. I certainly am very, very happy with this. So we have our apply and our write. You can see your paragraph should answer these questions. So they're just going to answer the questions to whatever questions that they come up with. Then we have writing specific instructions, and there's little examples here of how a student did this assignment. There are examples on the video of students working together to create their assignment for this same chapter, which is really, really nice to see them working together. Now, the few videos that we have seen where the students are kind of working and collaborating together on the lessons, they actually seem dated, where the teacher and everything seems a little bit more contemporary. The actual students working amongst themselves, those look like older sections of video that they've just like inserted in. Either way, it's still fine. It's not a big problem, but I have noticed that. Then we come over, we have instructions for planning. So you can see we're taking these steps to make sure that we are doing the correct writing prompts. Here they have their worksheet for working their own section out. Then we come over here and we have a revising section. Again, we have an example of how that student revised their work. Then we have over here a little checklist that helps them know exactly what they're going to need to be doing. After they've revised, they're going to proofread. After they have revised, they're going to proofread. So you can see they're just breaking it down into nice, manageable chunks, which is really, really nice. You can see where they made mistakes. So it's okay that we still have mistakes in our proofreading, our little checklist, preparing for oral publishing, more tips. You'll have a video for every single one of these. And then we have a chapter review at the end of chapter 6, followed by a cumulative review. And so you can see this was from chapter 2, chapter 1, chapter 3, chapter 5. So these cumulative reviews are bringing in everything that we have learned up to this point. And then we move on to chapter 7, which is another grammar portion. All right, now that we have looked at this on the inside, let's look at a few video examples just so you can see what I'm talking about as far as the instructors and a little clip of the little students working together.
Let's start today with a quick review of singular and plural possessives. I want you to get out a sheet of paper and a pencil or a pen, and I'm going to show you a phrase, and what I want you to do is to correctly write a singular or plural possessive phrase that we could use with each of the things that we see. Now, you may need a little bit more time, and if you do, you can just go ahead and pause the program. Let's look at the first one. The warmth of the sun, how could we make that possessive? Write that on your paper. I'm going to help you on your way to becoming a Greek expert. Well, that may be a little bit of a stretch, but we are going to talk about some Greek word parts that we often use in English, and you may not even realize that they are Greek word parts. Greek word parts are used so often at the beginning of English words that we call them prefixes, and you've probably heard that word before. And other Greek word parts are used so often at the end of the words that they are called suffixes, and you've probably heard that word before as well. Now, word parts like auto, bio, chron, dem, that's the prefix, and that means, as you could tell from the chart, that means life. Then we have the suffix ology, which means the steady. some examples. And remember that when you learn the meanings of some common Greek word parts, that can help you understand some unfamiliar words if you know those parts. So let's look at the guided practice part. It says to write a Greek word part from each of the following words. It might have more than one part, but you just need to choose one. So as we look at biography, well, I see bio, which means life, and graph, which means to write, part and the meaning later. And the bottom says to fill in the circle next to the definition that makes sense based on the meaning of the Greek word parts. Demography and apathetic. I'm going to let you do those after the program is over. On the top of the next page, your independent practice, you're going to write a Greek word part from each of the following words, underline the word in each sentence that has a Greek word part, and write the Greek word part and its meaning, and then fill in the correct circle for 12 through 17. And at the bottom, you're going to find a partner, someone that you can work with easily, and you're going to use the root words and context clues to make a literal definition for each underline. I want you to finish up your work text pages. We're done for today, and we'll see you in the next lesson.
Welcome back. Now that you've practiced telling the difference between sentences and fragments, I think we're ready to begin the first assignment. As we do so, I want you to think about a story you've read recently. It can be any story. As you were reading that story, did the characters seem real to you? What exactly is it about stories that give us that feeling? Well, a good author will use events, emotions, and dialogue that are familiar to his readers. This helps us, the readers, to identify with the characters of the story. Sometimes we say that the author makes the characters come to life. In other words, they seem real. Understanding this idea will help you in this writing assignment. So let's get started. As we progress step by step through these lessons, pay close attention so you can learn what is necessary. The first thing we need to do is look at a definition of personal narrative. A personal
mattress, and it was right by the window. The window was broken so it wouldn't shut all the way, and there was some
that you should begin by thinking about yourself and a past event in your own life. Actually, you want to do the opposite. You see, you're not writing this for yourself. The narrative is already part of your memories. The stories sound natural so that readers could imagine your voice telling it aloud. As you plan how you're going to tell your story, you also need to think of the words that you will use. The word to this person. Don't go. Daniel, Stephen's friend, realized that he was a sinner, that the penalty for sin is death, and that Jesus had died on the cross to pay for his sins, and that according to the Bible, if we believe in Jesus and what he did for us on the cross, to come alive. Remember to use quotation marks around someone's spoken words. Earlier in this lesson, I told you that dialogue was important. The fact that I want to know what is unknown to me keeps me reading. That is exactly what a good author will do whenever he begins writing. And that is exactly what you must do in your narrative. Also, Stephen used time order words in his narrative. These time order words that I mentioned earlier tell readers when the events of the story are happening and help keep them in order. Page 26 of your work text has a list of common time order words and phrases. A good practice for you would be to find any of those words from this list that Stephen used in his narrative.
I just don't know what to write about.
I did a lot of things for his birthday. I read about how I love to pass the ball behind my back.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Except when it hit me in the head.
Oh yeah. I have to add that part in.
What about Greg's birthday special? Remember the look on his face when he took that first bite?
Marshmallow barbecue surprise. I think you've got something there. It has Krista flair. I think
Other side of the table.
Here, I think I'm ready to take over. Looking at the food, I decided Greg needed something extra special to eat.
They thought of 3 things that they could talk about in the personal narrative. They also thought of details and dialogue to add, and they thought of an opening sentence that would grab the reader's attention. Those students are well on their way to writing their personal narratives, and soon you will be too.
All right, so this is English 6, second edition with BJU Press. I love that it rotates the writing and the grammar. It's not just always writing, it's not always grammar. I really, really enjoy that. I love the fact that there's 2 different teachers along with it too. It just keeps it more interesting. Overall, I am extremely happy with this. It is not something that takes an extreme amount of time every day. It's just a really, really nice program and something that I think is working really, really well for us. We are still learning how to kind of figure out how much review we need and what all exactly needs to be done, because I don't know that everything is necessary for each day, but that is just something for us personally that we're learning to do. But overall, super happy with this. If you have any questions or comments, please put it down below. I will continue to update as we work along all of these things, but just wanted to give you a flip through. You can see it's nice and colorful and just a really, really great program. Thanks for watching.